Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this project is Senua's sword from Hellblade. Nice little sword, see? And I do some new techniques with that. See the handle is bone? I give you the template, you download it, it's on my website, you download it, it's free, and you print it up, and then you can make your own Senua's sword. And you only need, in terms of foam board, one sheet of foam board. I got it all figured out, so it's one sheet. Nice little project. Stay tuned, let's do the intro, and then I will show you how to make it.
Dioramas, origami, catapults, and trebuchets, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, rattle rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something.
Okay, it's great to be back. You know, I've been so busy with so much stuff going on, and it's great to be back making foam board swords. And this is a fun one, and it's easy to do. So you print up the template. The link is in the description of this video down below, and then cut out the parts. And I'm going to show you how to build this real easy. So if you've never built one of my swords, or you're not really big on cosplay, you never did much of it, you'll be able to do this one. So parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 make up the sword, the blade and the handle of the sword. Lay them out nice and straight and tape them together from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's important that they're straight. Try to keep a nice straight line on those. I'll show you with my hand here. I'm going to karate chop that. You like that? See? Nice and straight. It's important. Now we're going to squeeze 2 of those on foam board. So lay it diagonally like this and trace it. But don't do this yet. Watch the next little segment before you actually lay it out and trace it. I'll show you what I mean. You can't fit them 2 of them diagonally. If you put one diagonally corner to corner, you can't fit a second one. We want 2 of them. See how it's offset there? It's not in the exact corner. It's offset. You'll see what I mean, because you need to lay that template down. Flip the template around so now the point is on this end, and lay it down so you can get 2 sword blades on that foam board. I did this to try to get the maximum size sword I possibly could with 1 sheet of foam board. And then trace that one. So now you've got 2. And you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about this sword because it reminds me very, very much a lot of a Japanese katana. And I'll show you why. Alright, but for now, let's take a look at the rest of the parts. And I tell you how many of each to make and trace. So cut those parts out too. And trace them all out. And oh, and for these 2 parts, don't forget to cut out the center holes. That's the pommel. And that's the tsuba. That's what I mean when it comes to a Japanese katana. Has something on it. We might call it a guard. But the Japanese rounded oval version like that is called the tsuba. So 4 of those, and 2 of those, and 2 of those, and 1 of those. In the end, you end up with 12 parts, including the 2 blades. So 12. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There you go. Now you know you got the right amount. So go ahead and cut those parts out. And let me give you a quick tip here on cutting foam board. You make 3 passes. First pass cuts the top paper. Second pass you press harder and cut the foam. Third pass you press down and you cut the bottom layer of paper and you got a beautiful cut. Use a sharp knife. Replace your X-Acto blade. So now go ahead and cut all those pieces out. And I'm not going to show you all of that. There's no need. You kind of get the concept. And take your time though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hey, I did it right. I can count past 10. So let's put it all together. First thing you do is you glue the 2 sword pieces together like this. Now, if you didn't make your template nice and straight, it would show up here. They'd be crooked. And you'd notice it. But there you go. Next, let's put on the tsuba. And I recommend you do it 1 piece at a time. Don't glue them together and then put it on. Glue one on. Slide the second one on. And like I said, just like a katana, that's the tsuba. T-S-U-B-A if you want to look that up. I have I went to Japan, I bought a katana. I get that video around here somewhere if you want to look for it. 4 pieces. Glue them all on there. Very nice. Now next, this is the habaki. H-A-B-A-K-I. See, it's just like very similar to a Japanese katana. So you glue the habaki on, flip it over, and glue the other side on too. And this is an easy build. You know, I shot all the video because I have to shoot video which slows things down, but I made the whole project from start to finish in less than a day. So now this part, take this long narrow piece and cut it in half like this along the spine. Mine was pre-cut. I had already cut it, but I wanted to show you. And then glue it onto the what? What's that called? The tsuba. That's the edge of the tsuba. I'm gonna overuse that word. It's a tuba, like the tuba. So glue it on like this and glue it all the way around and trim it as needed. The one in the template is a little bit long, so you should be covered. It should go all the way around. You trim just a little bit of it off, and then you can, size it exactly where you want it. But this is a nice detail. Don't skip this detail, and you'll see why later. I've trimmed this one, and now we finish it off. There we go. So now the dragon pommel. And for a Japanese katana, what would this be called? It starts with a K. If you know it, you get bonus points. Don't Google it. If you know it, you get bonus points. So glue those two pieces together, and then glue them onto the butt of the handle. And, yeah, that's it. Now this is interesting. This little part here is, I like this part. Cut that in half just like we did with the other part. Only use half of it, and then you're going to glue it in here like this. And for some reason, I just think this is a neat little look. And it's actually functional. It helps to keep the pommel on nice and tight, which is I like. See, and that little setup with the oval dragon thing and that thing allowed us to make a longer sword. Okay, so once you've got all of that done, or at any point here after you've done gluing, you should sand the edges. Don't sand the flat planes of the foam board because that'll ruin it. It won't look right. But sand the edges, because when you're gluing two pieces together, there's going to be little differences. Hey, and listen, so now I am going to use something called Rub and Buff. And I have to give a shout out to a patron who bought this for me. I'm very grateful for that. It's some neat stuff, and I mentioned that I had it in my Amazon wish list, and my patrons, Larry and Kristina, bought it for me. And it ships automatically to my house. That's kind of neat. So thank you very much to them for that. They've also been very helpful with me in my Patreon stuff. I very much appreciate them being patrons. Thank you. So the Rub and Buff, it's pretty neat. Look at that. It's got a nice silver look to it. Much better than paint. I've used speedball paint. It's pretty good. But this Rub and Buff is pretty good too. You put some on and then you rub it on, and it gives. See how that looks like metal, looks like steel. So that's Rub and Buff, and it's like, I don't know, $5, something like that. And I got gold and silver. Don't forget to do the what? What's that called? The habaki. And of course the edge of the what? The tsuba. That's silver. That's silver. And ooh, and I got to do the back side of the sword here. Look, I haven't yet. So, but see how you can manipulate it there and makes it really looks good. This Rub and Buff is good. Rub and Buff is good. I'm going to use more of it. Oh, and I just recently got see, and don't forget to do the pommel. You're gonna have fun with it. Oh, and if you wanted it to look better, you could cut right out the foam board between the two dragons' heads, but that does weaken it. You want to be an illusion, so almost like a trompe-l'oeil kind of thing. You could paint the space between the two dragons' heads black. That would kind of give it the illusion that there was nothing there. Okay, so let's do the bone handle. 3 colors, brown, yellow, and white. Start with the white and do a coat of white. And now while the white is still wet, you don't want to let that white dry. Just dab on yellow like this randomly. Some of it's lighter, some of it's darker. So we want to make this handle look like bone, because in the game, in Hellblade, the handle is bone. And then add some brown and have some fun with this. And you really can't make a mistake. You can just let it dry and start over if you needed to. And then spread that around a little bit. And experiment. You want, so there you go. Starting to look like bone. Add some cracks in the bone. So yeah. And that's it. We're almost done. I'm going to show you a couple of things, a couple more things. The Rub and Buff was something new here. It really works well, but listen, be careful. It doesn't clean with soap and water. You're going to clean it with like you know, paint thinner or something. So that's something to consider. Or wear gloves if you're actually going to try to rub and buff it with your fingers. So let's wrap that handle. It's only got a few wraps. I cut some leather strips. You can use brown shoelaces, some brown string or something. And I'm going to simplify the pattern a little bit. See, one in the center like that. See, one in the center like that, and then an X before it and an X after it. Okay, let's finish it off. A couple of things, some details with a Sharpie or a black marker or something, or a black pen. Add some details like the dragon scales and the dragon's eyes. And, you know, accentuate any metal parts on the sword if you want, around the tsuba or anything. So let's take a look at her sword has gems on it, and I do have a bunch of gems like this, so I glued them on. If you don't have gems, that's okay. You can just use like a green pencil to paint, you know, the green gems on. Or I'm going to show you in a second. I'm going to show you here a technique you can use with the glue gun that'll come out almost as nice. See, but it's just a nice little detail. It's understated, you know, it's not overdone. So here, you can make gems like this. You put a glob of hot glue down, and then with a circular motion like this, so you don't end up with a mess, it kind of dries it and spins it, and like that. You just spin the hot glue gun like that, and you can add those. So that's it. Let's finish with a few more details. I like to accentuate some of the edges with a black marker. It makes a difference. The actual sword has like these black lines going down it. If you track down a picture of it, you'll see. And then finish it off with a line down the center of the blade. It's not really a fuller, it's a bend line. And that's it. You have made Senua's sword from Hellblade. If you make this sword, make sure you send me a picture. I will put it on my website and send you a certificate of contribution by email. As far as swords go, video game swords and all kinds of swords, I must have 100 tutorials. If you want to make a different sword from a game or from history, look through my playlist on swords.
Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.